the proposed text amendment. The applicant does have a letter of support for the initiation of this amendment, and we've agreed to continue working with the Alliance through the approval process. In conclusion, staff is recommending approval of the proposed text amendment. We have a letter of support from the Delray Alliance, and the proposed use is compatible and appropriate to support the West Delray Regional Park and Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. And just to talk about schedule, I know you guys have seen text amendments before, but this is the very first phase of a year-long process. So if in May, the Board of County Commissioners initiates this amendment, then you will see the actual comp plan amendment and the real text amendment back before you for transmittal. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. Staff?
Good morning. Jerry Lodge with Planning Division. This is a privately initiated text request for the West Delray RV Resort. Got a problem here. Oh, I'll use that one. That's better. So just as a reminder, since all three items today are initiation requests, I just want to offer a reminder that any initiation requests for text amendments are required for to go through the board just to be initiated before they come back. This is for privately or county proposed amendments, and this really authorizes staff to process these amendments and come back with a full review and analysis at a later date if the board chooses to initiate. And lastly, the initiation does not indicate approval. It's really just giving the board the opportunity to consider policy. For the proposal itself, the applicant's requesting to revise the agricultural reserve policies in the future land use element to allow recreational vehicle parks or campgrounds within the CR FLU. This is with some criteria associated with it, which includes minimum lot size of 5 acres to be located adjacent to the West Delray Regional Park, and also to have preserve area requirements consistent with the AGR MUPDs. So for the CR FLU itself, it's included in the plan to accommodate both public and private commercial recreation uses. This is intended for large-scale projects, which are intended to serve really the local and tourist population, so they're generally large in nature. This includes items such as, or facilities such as the South Florida Fairgrounds, Lion Country Safari, and the Crooked Hook RV Campground. In addition, there's 4 golf courses with the CR future land use in the county, and there's a few other sites that are developed with their underlying future land use, which are residential or industrial. Specifically for the ag reserve tier, the master plan consultants recommended allowing golf courses within the tier to preserve visual open space, and as a result of that, the plan allows for freestanding golf courses within the tier. Currently, there's no freestanding golf courses within ag reserve tier, therefore there's no CR future land use properties in there either. All right, so if this is initiated, the applicant will return in May with a future land use and text amendment application for a property just over 10 acres. It's located on the west of State Road 7 and on the north side of Atlantic Avenue. It's adjacent to the West Delray Regional Park, which is outlined there in blue. The applicant will be requesting to change the future land use from AGR to commercial recreation and retaining the underlying AGR. And the companion zoning application will request to rezone the site from AGR to RVPD or CRE, and with the intention to develop up to 121 RV campsites, which is about 12 sites per acre. In addition, there are some county-initiated ULDC code amendments are anticipated to accompany this through the process if initiated. Staff's assessment is that this proposal would limit the scope of any potential future RV parks within ag reserve tier as a result of the location criteria within the text amendment. And finally, the initiation will provide an opportunity for the board to consider policy. So So staff's recommending initiation, and the motion is to initiate. And as Lauren mentioned, we did receive a letter of support from the Alliance of Delray after publication, so you should have a copy of those at your seats. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Precious, do we have any public comments for this specific item? Okay. No, so. Yeah, we got it. All right. So moving on, we'll do questions. I'll just go along the board. Commissioner Braz?
I have a couple questions. I am very nervous. All along, we have always done 1 unit to the acre with the 60/40 preservation concept in the Ag Reserve. And now within the last year, we have introduced essential housing in the Ag Reserve, jumping from 1 unit to the acre to 8 units to the acre. And now we're going to open the door for something in the Ag Reserve at 12 units to the acre. Please know that next month we will have a very large project that will also be proposing 12 units to the acre in the Ag Reserve. Does this 12 units to the acre open the door and make it acceptable for projects in the future to come in at 12 units to the acre?
So the request would be for 12 RV sites per acre. So it's not density based. It's based on a temporary situation with these RVs. So there's a state law that these RVs can only be on the site 180 days of the year. So they're not permanent residential dwelling units.
And that was my next question. Is there a definite time where somebody can stay and then they have to leave? And you just mentioned it was 180 days. If somebody decides that it's going to be a lot more economically viable for them to purchase an RV and stay longer than that period of time, does code enforcement come and remove them? Will that be monitored?
So that requirement is, it's a state law, and it's also in the ULDC. I don't think we have anyone here from code enforcement or zoning to answer that specific question, but I would assume if it's in the code, then yes, code enforcement would be responsible for monitoring that.
Okay, I'm very pleased that this is site-specific, being right next to the regional park, and I think it's a great use for residents in Palm Beach County and also outside of Palm Beach County. But again, I feel a little bit more reassured in the fact that this is specifically for a recreational park and not just something that could be used somewhere else in the Ag Reserve as 12 units to the acre. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pomp. Commissioner Das? Commissioner Rod?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. My concern also, but the site-specific indication makes me a little more comfortable about this. I also agree that it's a good use. In reviewing the code as it exists, I saw something, and it has not to do with this proposal, but mining and excavation. Apparently that's something allowed. It's in the existing code. Could someone explain to me how mining and excavation would be, it mentions hunting, gun clubs, marinas, vehicular, non-vehicular racetracks, outdoor wildlife, golf courses, parks and recreation, mining and excavation on page E2.
Yes.
Have we ever had an example of mining and excavation?
Not within the CR flu, and so when this, if the board should initiate this text amendment, they'll have a site-specific FLUA with it. And, we would have concerns with potential other CR uses that could be on the site. So it's very likely that staff would recommend that there be a condition limiting the site to recreational vehicle use only within the CR flu.
Okay, thank you, because when you see all of those other uses listed, I do see that there's a requirement to be on sewer and water, no septic tanks, and that will be held to, and a maximum of 120 units. That's been agreed upon.
Yes, applicants looking at, I think it's 121 potential sites, RV sites.
Okay. All right, thank you, that's all.
Vice Chair? Commissioner Stopik?
Thank you, Chair. I did have a couple of questions for the applicant, if, hi, thank you. So we know that they're going to be hooking up to water and sewer. Are they going to also be having electrical hookups at each site, or is that people going to be on their own for electrical?
I think that's typically how they work, yes.
So the electrical and water and sewer. And are they any type of concrete padding, or is it all going to be just rustic raw land?
No, these are, these are big motor coaches.
Right.
So they have to have some kind of pavement, pavers.
Okay, so we're going to have that set up in that fashion. Okay, that's what I was suspecting. So then, as far as the 180-day thing, from what my experience and my family and friends that used to do this, I'm sure there's going to be a reservation system. There'll be a whole system put in place. And do we have any idea what the fees are going to be generating from this thing? We have no idea.
No, this is very, very preliminary in the process, so these details have not been worked out yet.
So we'll be back probably in May for this to talk more.
The comprehensive plan amendment will be back before this board in the fall
Got it.
for the change from agricultural reserve to commercial recreation.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, Commissioner Rand? Commissioner Stenberg?
Good morning, thank you. I have a question for the applicant. Getting your steps in.
Yeah,
today.
it's fine. It's fantastic.
Will the plots be individually owned, or will they be owned by one entity?
Right now, we're just keeping the flexibility open. We're not sure yet if they're going to be sold off like condo yet or not. It's just we don't know. This is very early in the process.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Palm Beach Motor Coach as an example of how they.
They have both, I believe.
Well, they've sold them off. It's kind of a condominium type
Okay.
concept, but okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Commissioner Larson?
Thank you, Commissioner, for that question. I didn't originally have a question, and now I do. Do we have any provisions, given that we've got 180 days that are typically limited, and if the concept of selling off rights, then like you only have rights then to 180 days. If you buy within that, that could get into some really muddy waters, essentially. Instead, do you then have two owners that take care of the whole year? Because we're looking at, this is a very environmentally respected area, and I happen to have a son who is an RC airplane guy now, and being able to come out and do these camping and tournaments is quite exciting to me, but the concept of owning within that versus it just being able to be more strictly controlled concerns me. So can you address that?
Yeah, so I think the difference between this and traditional condominium style, which Commissioner Steinberg had mentioned, is that this is an intensity-based use. So it's more of it's a commercial recreation. So this isn't density that would allow necessarily a unit to live in. It's used more typically like, as far as I understand, they own it. You can stay 100 days, but they're typically rented out to recreational users. But since it's not density, it's not really a home that you'd be precluded from, if that makes sense.
If I may, Chair, to expand upon the thought, I think the board's question is a good one, and I think if this item moves forward, I think the applicant will have to provide further information, and we can ask the question again a little later down the road, and hopefully they can provide a more firm response to that question.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Sterl?
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
All right, I think most of my questions have been answered. Just one question for staff. Have you done the traffic analysis since it's changing from ag to, in a sense, 121, even though it's RVs? Is that causing any issues with West Atlantic?
So the traffic study is usually not done at this stage. It's usually done after the site is initiated, the text amendment is initiated. I don't know if the applicant has done any preliminary. Usually they'll look and make sure there's no 35D issues, because if there were, they would have to also include an exemption to their text amendment. So they may want to answer if they've looked into it.
Yeah, no, we haven't done any formal traffic analysis as yet. We just know that we don't need a 35D exemption.
Okay, all right, follow-up question, Commissioner Roth?
Yes, thank you. The location of this is at the western end of Atlantic. I'm correct. And many of us have had repeated updates from our traffic department and engineers. I thank you very much for that. And we know that there's work ongoing. And I'm just expecting that as this plays out over the next number of months before something comes back in the fall, that there would be great attention given to the schedule of the completion of that work along Atlantic, because, I'm getting some understanding here. I'm not being critical. I'm just pointing out a fact that things seem to be taking longer. And I think we need to be cognizant of that as the approval process goes forward. Thank you.
Commissioner Stopek, I think you raised your hand also?
No, I think I'm good for the moment. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so yeah, I mean, this is an initiation right now, so I think most of the other questions will come as we go through the process. I think we'll ask for a motion then, unless there's any additional questions by anybody.
I will.
Go ahead.
I move to recommend initiation of the RV recreation park in the Ag Reserve.
All right, Precious, you got that? All right, can you go ahead and call, please?
John Carr,
Yes.
Barbara Roth,
Yes.
Penny Pompey,
Yes.
Dagmar Ross, Kylie Harper Larson,
Yes.
Angela Van, Encore Patel,
Yes.
Rick Stopik,
Yes.
David Searle,
Yes.
Brian Stenberg,
Yes.
Barissa Laudos.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, applicant. Moving on to the next item. These are county proposed items. The first one is Persimmon Boulevard, 140th Avenue North and 40th Street North through fair right-of-way identification map initiation. Staff?
Good morning. Kashid Mahyuddin with the Planning Division. The item in front of you today is consideration of initiation of thoroughfare right-of-way identification map TIM for Persimmon Boulevard, 40th Street North and 140th Avenue North. So what is TIM? It is thoroughfare right-of-way identification part of the comprehensive plan map series. It is a basis for identifying road right-of-ways, both current and future. And it's a long-range planning tool, identifying the network of roadways required to meet future traffic demands. It depicts major roadways, all important roadways to complete the network, maintained by state, city, or the county. So we are currently in the initial idea phase of this amendment, and that phase is called initiation. The purpose of the initiation is to provide the opportunity for initial public input and for staff to receive preliminary feedback from the Board of County Commissioners, in short, BCC. If initiated, a full staff report will be prepared with data and analysis to be reviewed by the BCC at future public hearings. Initiation does not indicate future BCC approval. What is being proposed today in this initiation? It is deletion of Persimmon Boulevard from 140th Avenue North all the way to North State Road 7 extension. And addition of 40th Street North from 140th Avenue North all the way to North State Road 7 extension. And addition of 140th Avenue North from 40th Street North all the way to 60th Street North. Deletion of Persimmon Boulevard and addition of 40th Street was directed by the BCC on November 28th hearing. Addition of 140th Avenue was recommended by county staff to complete the network, roadway network, and to improve roadway connectivity. Deletion of Persimmon Boulevard from the TIM will not change the build conditions, which will stay as it is, and it will be used as it is currently used. Addition of 140th Avenue North and 40th Street North to the TIM allows for consideration for future improvements to county standards. What is the next phase? If it is initiated by the board on March 28th, additional items can be considered. Public comments received, future roadway connectivity, alternative traffic routes, emergency response times, pedestrian and equestrian access, potential for environmental impacts, and impacts on existing natural areas, wetlands, and associated protections, such as Royal Palm Beach Pines Natural Area, which is subject to Conservation Land Protection Ordinance and subject to limitation of use and subject to a conservation easement. We notified all the property owners fronting these 3 roadway segments and all the special districts and all the municipalities in this area, including we also sent a letter to South Florida Water Management and School District. We held a Zoom information meeting on February 27. Approximately 92 members of the public attended, and all 29 speakers were against the proposed amendment. Following the informational meeting, we have received numerous emails, about approximately 43. They were all opposed except one, which was in favor of only addition of 140th Avenue. Timeline. Next step is the Board of County Commissioners will review this initiation at a public hearing on March 28th at 9:30 a.m. at 301 North Olive Avenue, 6th floor chambers. Should the BCC initiate the TIM amendment, additional public hearings will be scheduled and notices will be mailed accordingly. Staff is recommending to initiate, and motion will be to initiate. Now, before I conclude my presentation, I will hand it over to Jining for a few words, and then we will be able to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Kershey. This is Joanne Keller with the Engineering Department. If you would, I've got 2 questions that came up frequently that we wanted to address at the beginning of the presentation. One of them is there a need to take property from this proposed project, and what is the eminent domain process? And our response is, it is too early to say if and how much property would be required. Since a road project has not been approved yet, there are no road design plans in progress. However, if the eminent domain process is required, that is governed by the Florida statutes and requires the county to obtain an independent appraisal, which would be the basis of an offer to acquire any property. Note that Florida statutes provide for full monetary compensation when a loss of property or damages are experienced as a result of that process. The second question we've received frequently is, what's the status of the State Road 7 project extension to North Lake? The State Road 7 project to extend to North Lake is an FDOT project and has been budgeted for the construction in about 5 years. However, there was an administrative challenge to the South Florida Water Management District's Environmental Resources Permit, called the ERP. That administrative hearing for this challenge began in October 2023 and has been continued until April 1st. The county, as a co-applicant to the ERP, fully supports DOT and their construction of this roadway connection. Those are the 2 frequently asked questions that we've received. Thank you.
And that concludes staff presentation. We are here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. So we have a lot of people that want to speak, and we also have received a lot of comment cards. So the people that have written on the comment cards and don't wish to speak, those will all be entered into the record. We are going to acknowledge if they've written whether they oppose or support, and we're going to do the count to show what the count is. So feel free, I mean, it's not that you're not being heard or you're not being put into record. It is all going to be in record, even if you're not speaking for it. So if you want to go ahead and tell me.
13.
All right, I'll let John speak to this. Sorry.
So right now we have 13 opposed who do not wish to speak. And then there was 8 with comments underneath it. The rest had no comments underneath it. So all those comments be put in the record.
All right, and then for the ones that want to wish to speak, we're going to be giving each speaker about 2.5 minutes to speak, and about 2 minutes, Vice Chair John Carr will be giving an alert that you're in 2 minutes in. What we would require is, if it would be nice if we could have one at a time, each go to one podium each, and then when you come up, please state your name, your address, and you can either state your full reasoning or you could state whether you oppose or you're supporting the project. But for efficiency purposes, if we can keep it going, it'd be very nice. Thank you very much. So if we can start, or should I call him by name?
Do you want to call him? You want me to call him? Yeah,
Call
you
him by
call
name?
You want
All right. So let's go with Lori Island first. And the next one would be Barney Island.
Excuse me, I'm Lori Island. I'm going to pass at the moment.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Rue. I'm a real estate attorney. I live in the acreage, and I would like to
Hold on.
speak.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. We're sorry. I apologize. We're changing up. We're going by how we're calling the comment cards. So if you want to wait till your name is called, I really appreciate that.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. I apologize for that confusion. All right. So Barney Island would be the first one, Ben, and Robert. And I apologize if I'm butchering the last name. It's Kazowski.
I've been known as Smith, but that's okay. It's Krzyzkowski.
Sorry.
It's all right. Listen, I'm here because I am seriously opposed to this. I've been putting up.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sorry. My name is Robert Krzyzkowski. I live at 5310 140th Ave North. Okay. Now, I am so opposed against this. This is ridiculous. We never wanted Westlake to begin with because we were told it would not impact us. Well, it is. There's already proposals for Persimmon and 60th. Why spend millions of dollars for nothing? A road going from nowhere to nowhere. They already have everything set up. Just leave it as it is. It's bad enough what you want to do. Now you want to do even more. People are going to lose their properties, lose their houses possibly because of the 80 feet? State Road 7 isn't even 80 feet wide. Why do you need to do this? You have 50th, Persimmon, 60th, and eventually if this ever gets extended with the completion of State Road 7, you'll have Orange Boulevard. We didn't want this Westlake. They bought it there. They can go around. That's not our problem. We have people that enjoy that road on 140th, horseback riding, dirt biking, quads, you name it, bicycling, walking. How am I going to put up with years of construction? It's bad enough I got the ground shaking across the canal. It's not fair. Would you want that in front of your house? I don't think so. So give us a break here. Respect us. This is our property. We moved out there for this reason, not for the reasons that you have intended. Thank you.
Next up will be Chris Marsh. Barney?
Good morning. My name is Barney Allen. Address is 146 Viscaya Avenue, Royal Palm Beach, La Mancha. I have a property that corners on the 40th North. My question is this: on the La Mancha side of 40th, you have a lot of lots that only have a quarter acre in size. Some of them have swimming pools, so forth. If you have to take any land out of Royal Palm Beach or easement or whatever it is, people are not going to have anything left besides their swimming pool. There'd be no backyard or anything. Not true in my case because I'm far enough off of it and so forth. But the concern here is that you really need to look at where you have easements that are already in existence for 80 foot and use those rather than taking additional easement out of Royal Palm Beach. That's all I'm trying to say is look at what you're going to do. You got quarter acre lots on Royal Palm Beach side, and you've got 2.5 acre lots on the acreage side. So where do you take the land from? Okay? Again, I'm opposed to using 40th as a route to get all of these people out with. I've lived there for nearly 40 years, put up with the traffic and the dust and everything else that come out of the acreage, but that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. So when the timer goes off, that's going to be your 30-second warning, just so everyone knows. You see 2 minutes up there, just to be clear. Up on the podium 2, please, Dylan Colonna.
And also, if everybody can refrain from applauding, we're trying to get everybody to speak and work through this efficiently, so I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Chris Marsh, representing the Village of Royal Palm Beach. I'm the engineer for Royal Palm Beach. We did actually take a look at this alignment with our GIS department, and what we come up with is about 160 parcels would be impacted by the acquisition of the right-of-way. We see 14 structures being taken out by this right-of-way. And overall, although we don't have a traffic study at this point, we don't see the net improvement of spending $50 million on this project is what we're seeing it as. Once you buy the right-of-way and construct the roadway, the net gain is going to be minimal. The real problem is we only have 3 outlets, and those 3 outlets are at capacity and soon will be over capacity. We could talk about Westlake, but let's not forget about GL Home, Santa Rosa Groves, EB Home, Arden, and Avenir. There are a lot of homes that are going to be built. A lot more trips are coming, and we need to look to solutions to get us east and throughout the county. And this is not going to solve that problem. We need to look to potentially connecting PGA to Avenir. We need to look for another east-west route, potentially even taking 60th Avenue North to 45th Street. So for the reasons that I stated, Royal Palm Beach does not support this change. Thank you.
Can I have Richard, oh boy, Deselofis? I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. To podium 1, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dalian Kalana. I live in 11383 40th Street North. I am opposed to this because the reason is when my wife and we came into the acreage, I studied, and I wanted to live in peace with a large acreage, okay? Now, why is it that you guys, and I mean the commissioners right here, want to go ahead and open up another street when you have Persimmon, you have Orange? Why don't you expand State Road 7? Okay. Right now we have an issue in 40th Street. We are right in the boundaries between Royal Palm Beach and ourselves. And even those tenants that they have strict rules, okay, they want to use our backyard. Basically, my street and the street of everybody on 40th Street and 140, we own that street. It's in the law. Go to back 1957, look when we bought the parcels, or when they bought the parcels, they put that law back to us, not to West Palm Beach. Okay? Anything happens on that street, it's our problems, our responsibility. Not the city, not Indian Trail, it's us. Okay? And when we went to your code enforcement, guess what they told me? Oh, we cannot enforce it because you're on the boundary, but that's behind your boundary. You got to deal with it. Now, imagine you putting 80 feet right now and you're going to open this to not a private right-of-way, but a public right-of-way. Now, we got speeding trucks. We got a whole bunch of people, okay? And now, I oppose, and I think all my fellow neighbors, they oppose to this. They want to leave their house as it is, okay? You got persimmon? Go use persimmon. I mean, sorry to say it, but you people... I mean, the commissioners before you guys, okay, destroy that street right there, okay? And that's what I got to say. So please, leave the acreage alone. It's a unique place. People like it. They like the tranquility. We don't need no more problems. Thank you.
Hey, can I have Patricia Curry to podium 2, please?
Good morning. I'm Richard Delorier. Live at 13177 40th. My wife and I are opposed to this initiation. We bought our place a few years back. We bought it because it was zoned as agricultural residential. It has the preserve right across the street from us, so that we felt would not have any kind of development in front of our yard. We measured from the opposite side of a road to our yard and an 80-foot easement, discounting the preserve, which most likely you will not go into. You will go into people's yards. We will lose approximately a third of our property. We'll lose our pond, our well. Our neighbor is in the same situation. The road easement will put the road easement on our doorstep. This impacts the tranquility that we bought our property for, and I'm sure most of the people, if not all of the people that live on 40th and 140th own those properties for, is the quietness of the properties. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thank you. Can I have Richard Jones to podium 1, please?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Patricia Curry. I live at 12390 59th Street North. Unlike most here, I don't live on one of the roads that are being affected. However, I am strongly opposed to putting another thoroughfare road in the acreage on our privately owned roads. I was opposed to 60th. I was opposed to Persimmon. I was opposed to Orange Grove going through. The proposal is not to shut down the connection to the Reliever Road on Persimmon or Orange Grove. Instead, you're adding a fourth connection. And I mean, these are privately owned roads. We moved out there to be in a more secluded area where we didn't have a lot of hustle and bustle around us, and the county keeps cramming development down our throats. And then they want to build roads right through our community to support it. I don't know how they get away with it. I hope you vote no. We don't want it. We don't need it. Thank you.
I was looking for Rich Jones to podium 1 and Linda Matthews to podium 2.
I'm going to read just for the sake of time. I'm totally opposed. This commission.
Can you speak?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can
Okay.
you also state your name?
My name is Karen Mank. I live just off of 44th.
Hold on, Karen, we didn't call you up. If you would, just for the efficiency, we're trying to call everybody up.
Oh, okay. Nobody came up, so I thought it was me.
Richard Jones, last call. Okay, so Linda Matthews, is that correct? If I could please have Richard Boyette to podium 1, please.
Hi, my name is Linda Matthews. My address is 375 Las Palmas Street. I live in La Mancha. My backyard is 40th. I consider everybody in the acreage behind me as my neighbors. I think I speak for my neighbors in La Mancha and on 40th when I say we strongly oppose this expansion that you're planning on doing or trying to do. I have a couple questions. I doubt they're going to get answered, but whose brilliant idea was this? I kind of knew the answer to that already. Have any of you actually driven down these roads? Have any of you seen how close these houses on 40th will actually be to this thoroughfare? I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's my understanding that if this goes through, a few things could happen. You take property from both sides of 40th and 140th, leaving us with not only less than what we've had, but less property value and more safety issues. Another option I heard is that you would take all the properties on the north side of 40th and all of 40th by buying up all the properties. Do you realize the cost of those to residents to have to relocate, not only financially, but mentally and physically? Now, for us in La Mancha, I have pictures here. My fence is right on 40th, but it's right up to 40th. From my fence to the back of my house is 20 feet. If you take any easement from me, or even nothing, and put that road behind us, you're talking vehicles going 50, 60, even 70 miles an hour. We can hear them on 441 Extension doing that. There's no barrier that will keep those cars from losing control and ending up in my house or anyone else on 40th, whether it be in their backyards or their front yards. This is a major safety issue, let alone the property values we will lose. Even if you buy a portion of our properties, we're going to lose property value. These are our homes that we have put our heart and souls into, and you want to take that away from us. That's it, I'm done.
Okay, Christine Boyette to podium 2, please. Sorry, Christine Boyette.
Good morning. My name is Richard Boyette. I live at 4031 Coconut Boulevard, which is on the corner of Coconut and 40th Street. I also own the vacant property behind my house, so I have 2 properties on 40th Street. I am a Florida licensed professional engineer. I do residential construction projects. I've been doing that for 30-odd years. I'm also familiar with traffic studies, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I have 2 questions and a comment for the commission. Question number 1, does the Planning Commission understand the meaning of the word permanently? I think we're all in agreement that permanently means forevermore until the end of days. Now, back in 2008, as mentioned in your agenda, 40th Street was removed from the plan from the TIM. Now, what your little agenda did not mention was it was removed permanently. I went to that meeting in 2008. I'm sure there's people here that went to that meeting in 2008. It was a very boisterous meeting. Their plan was to connect 40th Street, which currently dead ends at a flood control structure off 120th. And there was discussion of putting it all the way through to Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. Several of us spoke in opposition to this, and after the meeting was concluded, the commissioners or whoever was running that meeting stated that they would permanently remove it. So I am going to hold you people to that comment. Permanently means forever.
If we could let the person speak, he only has 2.5 minutes, and also even afterwards, we're trying to do this for efficiency. So I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but please, for the purposes that leave the applause out of it. Thank you.
My other question is for Mr. Moyudin. Are you a poker player? Well, you should be, because when the question was asked if this would benefit Westlake, and you said with a straight face, no, it would benefit everyone. I'm sorry, but that is a total insult to my intelligence and everybody else's out here. There's absolutely no way anybody that is serviced by 40th Street, it's about 200 properties, none of those people are going to benefit from this. So that's my other comment. There was also comments made about taking less than 80 feet, maybe only going 2 lanes, maybe only 60 feet. There's some wishy-washiness there, kind of walking it back. Let's make this clear. We don't want so much as a cart path connecting 40th Street to Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, let alone State Road 7. Are we clear on that? Are we clear on that?
Sir,
I think I got an amen.
excuse me, and your 2.5 minutes are up.
And thank you very much for my 2.5 minutes.
Thank
Can I
you.
have, can I have Lisa Johnson to podium 1?
My turn? Okay. Good morning. My name is Christine Boyette, and this is not typical for me, but I have to do this. I live at 4031 Coconut Boulevard, and as part owner, that was my husband. I'm here to say no, 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 no to the 4-lane highway nightmare that you're proposing for 40th and 140th Avenue North and the connection to State Road 7 extension. God let us do this property in 1987. Remember him? And he's not going to let it be destroyed by anybody, including Palm Beach County planners, so that some people somewhere can get somewhere quicker. A few years after we moved into our house, a nice lady thanked us for saving the Cypress Dome we have in our property. Her name, Rosa Durando. Some of you might remember her. I wonder what she would say to this proposal. In my 20s, when I was in my 20s, when we bought our land, I would have never imagined standing here fighting for my land. Sorry. Our property is an environmentally sensitive land that is home to many birds, wildlife, and it should be illegal to destroy it. 40th Street is a neighborhood road which many people use, as somebody else mentioned. Many bikers, people on horses, golf carts, people walking, they enjoy that street. Please don't take that away. At the Zoom meeting, just like my husband mentioned, we were told this would benefit everyone. How is it going to benefit us if we lose our property? How is that a benefit? Look up the meaning of benefit. And why not just 4-lane Okeechobee Boulevard all the way to Seminole Pratt? That would help. Why not 4 lanes, State Road 7 extension from Persimmon to Okeechobee? That would majorly help. And why not just connect Persimmon's 2 lanes to Seminole Pratt? That would help. Do the right thing. Don't proceed with this project. Please don't. Thank you.
Can I have Gary Werner to podium 2, please?
Hi, my name is Lisa Johnson, 17856 89th Place North. Although I'm not right where this is going on, I'm talking for everyone in the acreage. One of the things that I would like our commissioner to do is to work on the legislation to get back something we've lost, which was the concurrency rule. I think we really need to fight for that, where developments are making the roads before the developments are set into place. I also want to read something we just had, in case anyone doesn't know, our commissioner put forth to have 2 commercial trucks per property at 80,000 pounds. That was shot down by our commission, but what did pass was 2 commercial vehicles up to 16 1,000 pounds per home. And that's a problem without impact studies. And so now we don't have enough roads as it is, but yet we tried to pass this, and it got passed. So just so to let you know, we have that going on where these people could have all these vehicles going down their roads. I just want to read something from Melissa McKinley, February 13th, 2023. She wrote, just saw the article on North Lake Boulevard and 60th Street North. How sad. I managed to get those North Lake projects combined to reduce construction impact. And now the project is dead, and managed to keep 60th Street North from becoming 5 lanes because of all the amount of property some of those homeowners along 60th would lose. And now it will be 5 lanes. Saying a prayer for the acreage between SR7, North Lake, Jog, and Roebuck all being stopped, it's about to become a parking lot. Expanding residential roads to 5 lanes isn't the answer. Expanding existing thoroughfares is the answer. That's from Melissa McKinley, which I know we all respect. So that being said, we have Okeechobee that needs to be improved. Well, we need to concentrate on the county roads, the residential roads that people live on. They've been paying taxes on those roads. They've lived in peace and serenity on those roads. We wouldn't put a highway in front of your house. Please don't put it in front of theirs. Thank you.
Could I have David Rosenthal to podium 1, please? David Rosenthal to podium 1.
Good morning, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Gary Werner. I live at 16005 Key Biscayne Lane in the Crestwind community of Westlake. I'm here because I want you to know that there are people in Westlake. We're not just some people from somewhere. I'm from LA. My wife and I moved from Los Angeles. I'm a retired city planner. My wife's a retired registered nurse. There are numerous people living in the Crestwind community and throughout Westlake that are all good people. I appreciate and I understand the issues that our neighbors are raising here tonight. I have no quarrel with them. We came here with all good intentions. We moved from Los Angeles back in June of 2022 after I did some research. I did note that it was a public record in the county comprehensive plan that Persimmon would provide a connection for the Westlake community in addition to the other roads that are a little bit more long distance for us. I have every reason to believe that that would have been the access point for future access to our community. And I'm sure many of our other community members are concerned about emergency evacuation during hurricanes and perhaps other events. We want to be able to work with our neighbors. As I say, I and I believe most of the other Westlake residents recognize and appreciate the concerns raised here today. I hope that common sense prevails. You have an existing 80-foot right-of-way designated along Persimmon. On the same token, if the board were to decide to initiate this process, Westlake would be, I'm speaking as an individual here. I am a member of the Westlake City Council, but my comments here are my individual, my wife's comments. We would certainly appreciate having access to the east over to SR7, whether it be through Persimmon or by other means, but I think common sense would prevail based on the information that I'm hearing this morning. That concludes my remarks, and I appreciate your consideration and that you consider all of the comments being made here today. I'll take an applause if it's available.
Thank you. Could I get Melissa Mayroud to podium 2, please?
Hi, my name is David Rosenthal. I live on 4392 121 Terrace North. I'm an architect forever, and I've been in this community only for 2 years. It seems to me that everyone here is opposed to taking ITID roads, which are private. They're our roads, including Persimmon. So on this proposal, the only thing I like is taking Persimmon off the TIM. It never should have been there. 60th is a county road. There's already plans in effect to enlarge that. However, State Road 7 being in litigation forever, why bother? Because you're just going to dump a bunch of traffic on a little road that can't handle it.
So we need to enlarge State Road 7 to Beeline, in my opinion. We need to take SPW all the way to Beeline. We need to take Coconut all the way to Beeline. We can't, I guess, enlarge Okeechobee, which is the road that needs to be enlarged because of Loxahatchee Groves fighting it, which is nonsense, but that's their right as a city. We're not a city, so we have to come here and plead and beg for our rights, but that's where we're at. There's no reason to take our roads 40th and 140th. It benefits no one. Thank you very much. Oh. One more thing. If these two roads are added to the TIM, I believe that increases the capacity of the neighborhoods that are being built around us that are not being built yet. So my fear is that you increase the capacity on the TIM, and then a lot of those communities that are going to suddenly join Westlake because a few of them touch, and then they'll be allowed to increase their density. So we don't need more capacity out there for developers to take advantage. And this is all being jammed down our throats, and I don't think it's right. Thank you.
Could I have Jeff Bird to podium 1, please? Go ahead.
Yes, good morning. My name is Melissa Moyrud. My address is 7713 Park Lane Road, Lake Worth. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Melissa Moyrud, and I am the Conservation Chair of the Palm Beach County Native Plant Society. I am also a resident of Heritage Farms. I know all too well how high-density developments impact rural communities and the people that choose to live there. I am opposed to the expansion of the right-of-way of 40th and 140th as being proposed today, as it would negatively impact the Royal Palm Beach Pineland natural area. Our natural areas are one of the best treasures in Palm Beach County, and the residents and visitors worldwide enjoy them. This particular natural area was the first to be acquired by the bond referendum in 1998 that was approved 2-1 by the county taxpayers. The wetlands and uplands would be drastically impacted by any such road expansion. If there is a need to expand upon the east-west corridors to alleviate the traffic congestion, I suggest that you keep the status quo of the expansion that was originally approved in 2008 by Tim for 60th and Persimmon. Leave 140th and 40th as is for the rural residents in one of the finest natural areas, Royal Palm Beach, Pineland Natural Area. Thank you.
Could I have Alan Valerie to podium 2, please? Go ahead, sir.
So my name's Jeff Bird. I live at 13926 55th Road North. Wasn't really planning on speaking today, but definitely I'm opposed to this. Appreciate those of you on the panel that are actually paying attention. Some of you seem to be buried in your phones. I bought my house about 8 years ago with, the plan of better life, raising my family. I love fruit trees. I've got 22 different types of fruit trees on the property. The 8 years I've spent growing those will be gone. Can't start that over. I'm getting old enough, like, you don't start that over. And to what purpose? Each end of 140th does a 90-degree turn. It goes nowhere. When I looked this morning before I came here, watched the school. It's not because of the school and the traffic getting backed up for it. So what is it? When I first bought the house, I was told that, hey, Minto's going in across the road, Westlake. I also got told that, public had voted no on it, but it got pushed through anyway. I got told, here's a map though, and there's still going to be forest over there, so, you won't really see the houses. Then I come home a year or so ago, and the land's frickin' cleared. I mean, so we keep saying we're going to do things, and it's take. There's no real plan here. I called because I wasn't able to attend the meeting. I was stuck on a 5-lane road that, traffic accident, so 2 hours, so I missed the meeting, the online one. I called to go ahead and find out, is this going to be expanded east, west, what's the deal? We don't know. We need to approve it first, then we'll decide. How do we approve a plan without actually having the plan? That's it.
Could I have Carolyn Abbey to podium 1, please?
My name is Alan Ballweg. I'm on 11223 40th Street North. Currently, there is no traffic problem in the area of 40th Street or 140th. Based on Palm Beach County traffic counts, the nearest counter to that area is on Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, and traffic counts have actually gone down by 3.8% since 2019. I emphasize there is no traffic study that has examined alternatives and identified this as the best option. Let me restate that. There is no traffic study that has identified this as the best option. How does it make sense to build 5 lanes through 5 miles of quiet residential communities when there is no problem? How do you propose to destroy neighborhoods, eminent domain, 96 homes in the acreage, destroy the tranquility of 45 La Mancha homes by imposing cars, trucks, and motorcycles 24 hours a day? There are over 350 homes within 500 feet of this monstrous plan. Many La Mancha and acreage homes will be less than 20 feet from the roadway. On 40th Street, we have about 10 to 20 cars per day. This plan will multiply that traffic hundreds of times. If a plan doesn't make sense, you have to look deeper. My conjecture is that Commissioner Baxter's true objective is to turn 140th Street into a county road, then give Minto multiple connections so they can use the entire acreage as an asphalt doormat for east-west traffic that they plan to generate. This will bypass the lawsuit that Minto recently lost, allow Minto to increase their development allocation, and probably save Minto $18 million of proportionate share money. If I was Minto, I would try this too. I hope it fails. There is an unwritten contract that the county government exists to protect the residents and their quality of life. We're talking about families, neighborhoods, ways of life, safe streets where kids ride their bikes, where mothers walk their babies. These residents may not live next door to you, but they are your neighbors. Please reject this terrible plan.
Can I have William Abbey to podium 2, please?
Hi, Carolyn Abbey, 4034 123rd Trail North, and I live right on 40th. And if they decide to put 40th through, they would take my land all the way to my formal living room. That means that my living room would butter up to the road. So they'd have to take my house. It's absolutely ridiculous. There is no reason why they can't put Persimmon through, or they can go ahead and put 60th through. Sarah Baxter is like totally out for us. I mean, between the land and the trucks coming through, it's just not acceptable. We live near a nature preserve. We are already looking at Belisara, which they took all that land away, which is ridiculous. It used to be beautiful birds and tons of beautiful trees, and no, not anymore. Well, we're there 23 years, and we totally oppose this, and this would just totally ruin our lives and everybody's lives that live over there on 40th. And we just don't see a reason for it. Let them expand, 441. Let them expand Okeechobee. Let them expand North Lake. They're building, and there's no place for these people to go. And I'm sorry about Westlake, but they should have known this before they came. Thank you.
Can I have Lou Calantani, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, to podium 1, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is William Abbey. I live at 4034 123rd Trail North, which corners 40th as well. I appreciate you letting me speak today. It's to my understanding that 60th Street is already approved. Am I correct on that? To go through to State Road 7? All right.
It's a question.
We're already, right?
Yeah. It is already shown on the TIM. You're right.
Okay. So we want to start another project before we even finish one yet. All right? Let's try to get done what we already started. See what kind of traffic it alleviates. Everybody knew moving out west, limited access. I've been out there 23, 24 years now. I deal with it every day. I got to travel North Lake. I got to go through basically Avenir now, which is causing problems on North Lake Boulevard, Ancient Tree, Westlake, the acreage, which is 35,000 residents. You know, everybody knows what's going on here. I'm not saying there isn't a traffic problem. There is. But let's finish the projects that we've already started first. Thank you.
Can I have Karen Malik to podium 2, please?
Good morning.
Karen Malik? Sorry,
It's okay.
they didn't hear me.
Can I start over?
I will give you your 8 seconds. Yes, sir.
It's an important 8. My name is Louis Colantoni, 45-year resident of the acreage, and I have several properties out there. I have a property on 129th Avenue, 3 lots in from 40th, and I'm not going to sit here and complain about all the reasons why this is such a bad project, but I am going to ask the 12 of you to remember something. You do not have to pass any form of a professional intelligence test to run to be a county commissioner. You get elected. Oh, look, I have a job. I have no former experience at all, but here I am. These people are affecting our lives. This is a terrible decision that Commissioner Baxter has brought up before you. We, the people, the residents, the taxpayers of this county are relying on your professional judgment. We have to put our trust in you. You're the professionals. You can't let a county commissioner just run wild with these crazy whims and ideas that staff knows is completely ridiculous. These things have been on the table and off, on the TIM and off for years. Things were promised. There was a man named George Webb, remember? Okay, so this cannot be built. We need to stick to the county roads and the promises that were made. We're all still waiting for State Road 7. Remember Royal Palm Beach? The reliever road. What did it relieve? All that traffic from downtown Royal Palm Beach. That road was built to relieve downtown Royal Palm Beach, our neighbors, and rightfully so. Building this road will destroy the purpose of that. And one other serious thing, in 2012, we had Hurricane Isaac. 40th is a levee. It's a dam. It holds 8 feet of water back, and it breached in 2012. 38,000 people in Royal Palm Beach were in danger because a 155-foot wide swath of that berm flooded and broke through that levee. We can't build this road on that levee. There's 2 major water control systems there. Moving it further to the north is going to cost even more properties than we're thinking about right now. The 80 feet is not going to do it. This is a bad plan. We need to go back to 60th. You guys are the professionals. You have more experience than Ms. Baxter. Please lead us. Please. Thank you very much.
Can I have Renee Hamilton to podium 1, please?
Hi, I'm Karen Mank. I live off of 140th. I'm totally opposed. The commission allowed Westlake repeatedly to increase their density. And I think it's in bad faith. You know, it looks to me like this was planned ahead of time, but without the proper public due process that we're doing now. 140th and 40th, despite Minto's litigation, belongs to the owners of the acreage, not part of Westlake. Westlake is a separate city. The people on 140th and 40th and throughout the acreage. They pay taxes. They've made improvements. They've helped Westlake sell their development because the people that drive through, the people coming from LA, they go through the acreage. By the time they get to the Westlake, well, they'll pay anything for a little wooden house. I mean, that's a fact. They built and chose to build out there because of the value of putting themselves in the middle of the acreage. You get rid of us, and you might as well look at Westlake as totally deteriorating. I mean, over time. Easement agreements, aside from the pre-existing egress of just going through, are specific. We have 3 easements. We have easements for FP&L, we have easements for Indian Trail for drainage, and we have Southern Bell. Westlake, Minto, does not have an easement with us. And to just assume that they can get the county and zoning to just take our land for a private developer, Westlake, and we know how Westlake became a city, 5 guys in a trailer. We know this. How that happened, well, we know. Because they're a municipality, and eminent domain has repeatedly, we know throughout the United States, has been overused for development, to muscle away from legitimate owners, for greed and backroom politics. We know this. And we shouldn't let it happen in Palm Beach County. It's a violation of landowner rights because acreage owners, all of us, absolutely reject it. Not even Persimmon. Those are private owners. Westlake planned, they increased their density, you guys approved it, and now you want us to take care of all those poor people who bought property and were promised to go down Persimmon like that gentleman. Shame on you. Shame on the commission. We will fight for our property rights, especially against bad faith eminent domain. Thank you.
And I have Rich Hardy to podium 2, please.
Hello, I'm Renee Hamilton. I live at 17934 Temple Boulevard, but I do own multiple properties out in the acreage, one of them being on 40th Street. I am also opposed to 40th Street going through. I do want to say that as many people have been here to bash Sarah Baxter, I do support her. I think she's trying to do what's best for our area. I also support, excuse me, it's my turn to talk. I also support the trucks out here, which is also still in some sort of litigation and open with the commissioners at this time. What I would like to say is I oppose it, even though I disagree with many of my neighbors on other things. And what has happened here is we've disagreed on trucking, we may disagree on our commissioner, we may disagree on other things, but everybody here in this room that lives in the acreage is now united against this going through. So you have joined and united a group of people that couldn't agree on things in the past, but we all agree this doesn't belong out here. Westlake was built in the middle of us. It's not our fault that they don't have the roads they need to service them. They should have never been allowed to develop the way that they're developing. We need you guys to help us get Northlake through, okay? Get that fixed, get Seminole Pratt Whitney fixed, and 60th through. But as far as doing anything else to our individual roads that we own, we need you to stop that. And we're all here united to ask for that one thing. Thank you.
Okay, I'll call Rich Hardy one more time to podium 2, and I need Joanne Davis to podium 1.
Good morning. Richard Hardy, 14535 73rd Street North. I'm here to oppose and to support my neighbors and friends on 40th, as well as my family. We moved to the acreage 25 years ago from Wellington because I have 5 kids, and we outgrew it, and we wanted the lifestyle that we have. I understand compromise. Anybody in business knows that you have to compromise, but I think the acreage residents have compromised at least over the last 15 years. Minto proposed a plan, but it was a half plan. Their failure to plan created a crisis situation and an impact on our community. They knew they were building this many houses. They had to know that there was going to be an infrastructure problem. And the theory that I can come up with is, you know what, we'll do it and we'll sue for the roads later. as they did, or now they're trying to do. And even if you do not approve this, which I hope you do, I have a feeling that Minto's going to come back at you. So let's look at a compromise or an alternate route than 140th. You're losing a lot of houses. You're going to lose a lot of yards. Many of those people on 140th have a street-to-street lot from 41st to 140th. My children use 40th, who are now adult children who live in the acreage and have families. They use it. It was designed, or it's used for equestrian communities. Our preserve is going to have limited access that my wife would take my kids through all the time for educational purposes. There's beautiful wildlife. There's fox. There's birds. It's going to go away. So we really can't grow any more in the acreage. We may have 100 or 200 lots available, which is nothing. But we really won't grow much more, and we're okay. We don't need the services. We would like it, but we don't need buses or mass transit coming through our community. And eventually, from what I understand, that was in the master plan. So again, we beg you to please not vote for this. Thank you.
Could I have Rebecca Rue to podium 1? Rebecca Rue to podium 1.
Hi, Joanne Davis, 1029 North Lakeside Drive, Lake Worth Beach, Florida. I'm going to take a different tack than everyone else. Everyone else who has spoken so far, nearly, is directly affected by this. I'm going to speak to the greater county who will also be immediately impacted by this. In 1991, I helped manage and run a campaign to pass a $100 million bond referendum. The public voted over 60% to purchase environmentally sensitive land to preserve in perpetuity, not to impact on a whim. And I believe I'm going to just jump and take a little liberty here. I speak for every single voter who went and voted to purchase land. They matter as much as the residents, the immediate residents, do too. So far, the natural area has been treated as an aside, almost as an underscore somewhere. It hasn't been mentioned at all by anything I've heard yet how difficult it's going to be to even approach getting this land approved for an 80-foot right-of-way on 40th. You're going to have review by You're going to have to meet or exceed mitigation. You're going to have to talk to the partners on the conservation easements. You're going to have to get permits or not from the Water Management District, the Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Environmental Protection, and itself. I implore you, do not send this through on approval. Deny it. And as a matter of fact, I hope that the County Commission comes to its senses and just rejects it outright and doesn't even bother to vote. It's going to be a very rough battle.
Can I please have Ada Roderick, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, to podium 2, please. Ada?
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Rue. I'm a real estate attorney in West Palm Beach. I live in the acreage. My address is 13881 54th Street North. My house is right off of 140th Street. My children attend Golden Grove Elementary and Western Pines Middle School. We moved out to the area about 2 years ago, and me, like so many other people in the acreage, we live out there because we wanted to escape the traffic of other areas. There are no other places like this that exist in the county. Let's talk about the reasons why Westlake is trying to take our properties. There is nothing on 140th that Westlake needs access to except for the schools. The schools are Golden Grove Elementary and Western Pines Middle School. As many of the other residents have already told you this morning, we do not have a traffic problem at this time. Westlake has plenty of avenues in order to gain access to the schools. They have a giant field that used to be filled with trees, that was a peaceful area for me to look at across from my home. It's now a barren desert, if you will, and they are quickly expanding their homes across the field and ultimately plan to encroach on 140th Street. Why is it that the residents of the acreage are being asked to give up 2 lanes width of their front yards when Westlake has an entire field that is still unbuilt? Westlake has the land in order to accommodate their own growth, but we're being asked to give up our land to accommodate their growth. Let's also discuss a little bit more about the school issue. So I'm looking here at a fact sheet stating that no money has been budgeted for this project within the 5-year road program. We would have to add it to the 5-year road program. It is not until after adoption that a road can be budgeted for on the 5-year road plan. Let's compare this with the projected student growth addressed within the district's capital plan. We can see that there are multiple schools planned to be built on the Westlake side of town. So what you're discussing is a permanent change to the road system of the quiet town of the acreage in order to address a temporary problem that Westlake has, which they will not have within the next 5 years. Let's look at the schools that are being planned. We have a West Acreage School, ES15E. This is planned for the Arden area. The site has already been acquired. The estimated opening of this school is August 2025. The school is already under construction. This addresses projected student growth near the development of Arden. There are 2,334 units. We also have the Western Communities New High School for the unincorporated Loxahatchee. This is HS16 AAA.
You're past 2:30, so if you can cut it off.
Absolutely. So we have a Western Communities High School that's opening August 2028. We also have a school planned for the Westlake growth, specifically to address the future additional growth in the city of Westlake. A new elementary school will be added to the fiscal year 2025 capital plan to be constructed on a site already owned by the school district with a projected opening of August 2029. So we're going to put this road plan on a 5-year plan when there will be a school built within that same time to address these issues. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to call Ada Roderick one more time to podium 1, and Pam Casey to podium 2. They're not here. Pam Casey.
Good morning. I'm Pam Casey. I live on 49th Street North. We've lived in the acreage for about 30 years. It's always been a peaceful area. We enjoy bike riding along 140th and 40th. We hike through the natural areas, which we always enjoy. We all need peacefulness. Have you any of you visited out there to see the area? And I'm sure you felt peace as you were visiting from the big town out there on the east. There are 3 schools on 140th. A lot of children ride bikes and walk to school back and forth, and I feel that would be a danger to the cyclists and the pedestrians in that area during school times. The natural area has many paths for horses. They have to get there through 40th to arrive. Also, the hikers, we walk from our home to get there. With the traffic that's proposed, that would be very difficult. And as was stated before, we pay taxes for our roads. We don't need more roads in our area. I suggest we widen Okeechobee Boulevard to Seminole Pratt to alleviate the Westlake area. And if you haven't been out there, I invite you to take a hike with me. Thank you.
have Jeff Hamasa to podium 1, please.
Well, good morning. The last name is Hamara.
I know. I'm sorry about that. Right when I.
No, that's fine. I'm used to responding to a dead silence when they come to the name, so that's not a problem. Good morning. My name is Jeff Hamara. I'm actually a member of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. I'm also a member of the Transportation Planning Agency. Several years ago, I worked in Washington, D.C. as a senior executive with the U.S. Department of Transportation for the FAA, and so transportation is really important to me. But it's not just for that reason I'm speaking this morning. As many of you know, I'm also currently a councilman in Royal Palm Beach. I'm speaking as a Royal Palm Beach resident this morning, but Carolyn and I, my wife, moved here from Washington, D.C. 22 years ago now, and I got to tell you why we moved here. We moved from Northern Virginia for the primary reason of the traffic nightmare that we were living through. It impacted the quality of our life in a way that, unless you've been through it, you can't possibly imagine what that's like. Even on the weekends, getting to the mall was almost impossible. And lo and behold, here we are in the midst of what is likely to grow into another traffic nightmare if we don't act with a big picture, holistic approach to solving it. And that's what I want to propose. Now, you've heard bits and pieces of that this morning from a variety of people, including our village engineer. But I know you all know this. About 10 years ago, the county approved several developments. We've been talking about Westlake, but there are many others out there for what we lovingly call the Western communities. And the impact, of course, continues. The developments have been estimated to bring about another 13,000 new homes to the area. And the major problem is handling of 13,000 new homes worth of additional cars. We already experience the impacts on our various roads, and the approved developments have not yet been completed. So we can only begin to imagine what it's going to be like another couple of years down the road, no pun intended. I think we can agree that we have a big traffic congestion problem. And I hope we can agree that this problem requires a big solution. That is, a solution that brings the greatest benefit to the largest number of people. So the idea of replacing the widening of Persimmon Avenue, as it is currently shown in the TIM, with the widening of 40th Street is not likely to solve the bigger traffic problem. The paving of internal roads to 40th Street, for example, for $50 million that will require the condemnation of at least 160 parcels and 14 structures in the acreage will not solve the traffic problem either. These few short extensions on internal roads will not only fail to solve the bigger problem, but they will ultimately dump additional traffic on State Road 7, Okeechobee Boulevard, and Southern Boulevards, which are currently overloaded as well. So there are some possible solutions, but they are big picture solutions. You've heard some of them earlier today. The county could extend PGA Boulevard so that it would connect with the already approved extension of a widened Coconut Boulevard in the Avenir area. A second option is for the county to extend 45th Street, a little more creative, to the east end of the 60th Street at State Road 7 traffic circle in the acreage. Either or both of these roadway improvements would provide more total road capacity, more access to and from the western communities. There are others. You've heard those also today. Again, the traffic problems we're currently experiencing in the western communities are bigger than any one internal road can solve. Of course, the full solution to the unprecedented growth and resulting traffic congestion will require an optimum mix of roadway improvements and an enhanced transit system combined with land.
We are over 3 minutes. We gave you some latitude. If you could cut it short, please, I'd appreciate it.
An enhanced transit system with a combined land use that can actually keep pace with our growing housing and transportation needs. Let's solve this bigger problem. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes public comment cards. Thank you.
All right. We also received a bunch of emails. All those emails will be in the record. Am I correct on that? All right. So those are all part of that. So I know everybody probably has a lot of questions. Let's go ahead and start with Commissioner Braz.
There were several references made to the fact that we own these roads, they're private roads. Can you answer that?
I can confirm that they are not county maintained today, but we don't have information on the ownership of those available right now.
So the county had, okay, guys, wait.
Hold on.
You can't do that. You had your turn, now it's time for us, okay?
Take the property.
No. So is it a legal easement that the county owns, or is this actually, if I look at their survey from their property, are these roads on the survey from their property?
That's what I'm saying. We can't confirm today because that would be something we look at after initiation.
Okay, I get really nervous when we initiate something and we don't have these answers. And initiation doesn't mean that it's going to happen in next year, 5 years, or whatever. But we're laying that rule in the books that, I mean, a lot of us will be dead by the time it might be happening, but we can't go backwards once we, initiate this. I've been in Palm Beach County for 45 years. I mean, the acreage and Loxahatchee Groves, that was the boonies. And people moved out there just to get some elbow room. I mean, there's nothing like the acreage or Loxahatchee Groves anywhere in the county. I live off of in Terra Estates. I have 1.4 acres, and I'm very blessed to have that kind of elbow room on Boynton and Jog. But Jog Road was known to go through. We have 7 homeowners that live right on Jog Road. The noise is horrendous. And it's not just a property taking, it's noise, it's giving up the wildlife. It is totally taking away a quality of life. And I really think that the county needs to go back to the books and find another solution. Thank you.
Will we let everybody comment, and please don't applause after every commissioner speaks? I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Next, Commissioner Pompey.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate the passion that you all are feeling, and since I don't live in the area, I understand what the problem is. It's a balancing act. You know, we've got more people coming in. Many of you moved here from Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, and you moved here because of the quality of life. But those people that you left behind now want to move here. So where do we put them, and how do we get them from point A to point B? So the question that I have is for staff, and that is, I have 2 questions. First, one of the people talking with us today mentioned that the original motion made years and years ago was that it was going to be permanent. Does anybody know if that's true? Did it really say this would be permanent? Do we know? It's okay if you don't know. I mean, I wasn't here, so.
It's entirely Board of County Commissioners' jurisdiction to make a decision at a particular time, and a particular board can make any decision. So they are not bound by the previous board.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then to staff, what other options did you look at before deciding this was the best way to alleviate traffic?
We did not look at any other options. It was directed by BCC on November 28th.
Okay, thank you.
Those 2.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
All right, Commissioner Das.
I don't have any questions. I just have a comment. I think it's so wonderful to see so many residents passionately and civically engaged on this issue. It speaks volumes, and we have heard you. I appreciate your presence here. Thank you for articulating your point of view. I think it also speaks volumes that you had so many city officials and employees come and speak against this. So thank you. I don't think it's an appropriate plan for the area, and thank you again for coming out.
Thank you. Commissioner Roth, please.
Yes, thank you. And a special thank you to Commissioner Braz, who somehow gets the point across for all of us. Thank you. I have a couple of specific notes. I believe it was a woman who spoke at podium 2 from La Mancha who asked the question, which I think as more discussion went on, we have the answer to, and that was, whose idea was this? I think we know. I also want to thank just a little bit of understanding about how this process works. Please forgive me. We are appointed. Those of us on Planning Commission are not elected. I think some of you understand that. Others who have not come out before, we welcome that you are here. We are appointed, and someone made that very clear. I think it was Lewis. And the difference between this commission is that we are supposed to have some knowledge or background in land use and land planning, but we certainly listen to our wonderful planning division staff. They provide us with this information, but they get direction from the Board of County Commissioners, and very specifically in the case of we have a 7-district county, it could be specifically from one commissioner. So I think that answer to my question, whatever recommendation we make today is just that. It is a recommendation. It goes to the Board of County Commissioners. They are the final arbiters of all things. All we can do is make a recommendation. It is noted to them. Sometimes they stand by our recommendation. Sometimes they do not. And then, of course, we have other issues that are concurrent with zoning. So I just wanted to clarify that, and specifically because I did see emails from a number of you. I always appreciate that outreach, but there was a bit of suggestion there that we would have a final decision on this, and we do not. All we can do is listen, do our best judgment, and make a recommendation. And I have to say that I specifically appreciate the people from the local agencies, from Royal Palm Beach, the engineers, the former professionals, because you have been through this in other jurisdictions. You understand it. We do our best to follow along. And again, my gratitude to our planning and to our traffic department. There's no way I can support initiation on this.
Vice Chair.
I have a few questions for staff. Just want to confirm, Persimmon Boulevard, that's already protected, correct? Is that already?
You're correct. It is already on the TIM.
Okay. And obviously 40th and 140th are not, correct? So what's the process if this gets approved? What's the process, the next step once this gets, we initiate it, what's the process?
If the board initiates, then there will be a further detailed data analysis, and as I said at that time, we will look at many factors, including environmental impacts, and there are also 12 ULDC criteria that needs to be answered, including the cost of the improvements, rough estimate, because it's a planning horizon. It does not have a date associated with it. The map does not have a date associated with it. It could be 7 years from now or 30 years from now. Now, once we have those analyzed, if the board initiates and give us authorization to further analyze, only then we will make our recommendation based upon what we have looked at it. And that recommendation will take it to you and to the board. But that's if it gets initiated on March 28th.
So, and I'm not sure if you can answer this, but in your opinion, how much time do you think the staff would spend on a project like this? Any ideas?
I will defer to engineering also, who will do the detailed analysis. We will spend about 2-3 hours, 2-3 days worth of one engineer's time looking at all traffic data and putting together the report.
I'm talking about all the staff to compile all this. I'm talking about like what
there will be, planning staff also.
Right.
Commissioner Carr, if time probably than ours, and if I may,
A little more than 2 or 3 days.
It would be challenging to calculate the total amount of staff time required, and also as we investigate further, there could be other items that come up that require additional staff time, not only for planning, engineering, there could be other agencies involved as well.
Speaking of the mic, I think they're saying they can't hear you.
Okay, I think.
Sure. Thank you. I couldn't get much closer to that microphone, so I apologize. In summary, I think it would be difficult to calculate the total amount of staff time required. It not only would be for planning staff, engineering staff, also would be engaged. There would be other divisions and departments that would be required in order to completely analyze the project.
So not a small undertaking.
No.
Right. So have we put any sort of what this would cost the taxpayers of Palm Beach County just on the initiation? Any ideas? Is this line item in a budget anywhere?
It's just salary,
Just the
you know,
salaries.
what staff would normally work on. It's just a priority item that we would work on.
Just salaries. Approximately how many employees? How many of our Palm Beach County staff that's going to take our taxpayer dollars is kind of what I'm trying to get at. Like, this seems to be a lot of undertaking for something that's being opposed by pretty much everybody in the area there. So I'm just trying to get a grasp of understanding why I should initiate this with a cost factor in it.
These things, I think, will be considered as part of the transmittal process when we provide the detailed report, which includes traffic data, environmental, or any other challenges that lie along the adoption and or future construction of such roads.
So to be clear, this would also be another new budget line item that would need to be added if this is initiated?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
No, this is along the lines of a comprehensive plan amendment. It's staff.
Okay, so let's say we initiate it and it goes, what's the next step with that? Because what I'm trying to get at is, just for sake of time here, Palm Beach Gardens had this, correct, with the North Lake Boulevard, and I believe they were in the tune between $50 to $60 million of the cost, I believe, and then they decided not to move forward with.
So if I understand your question is that if this amendment is adopted and it's on the TIM, what is the next step? Next step is for board to put money and priority in a 5-year road program whenever they have the money and whenever they have the priority. 5-year road program at that time will include design and alignment study, and that's when you will know each inch of what's impacted and where it could be and where the road will be exactly and what are the costs. Those are the things, as I said previously, when we come back for the detailed report for the transmittal, at that time there is a ULDC criteria that asks for the cost, and that will be just a rough cost. It will not be a final cost. It only depends years after, whenever board has the money and priority to put it on the 5-year road program.
Okay, thank you. My next, and I did notice in here in the assessment, it says that the roadway segments, quote unquote, may impact environmentally sensitive lands. It sounds like it will, from what I've been hearing. Do we know that?
We have not analyzed that, but we have obviously there is a Royal Palm Beach Pines natural area in there, and as I said in my presentation, that is subject to a conservation easement and a couple of other things, and it could be complicated, but we will look into it. And plus, we don't know the road is going to go south or north or in the middle at this time. There is no alignment.
Okay, I had a few other questions, but my fellow commissioners had to get those answered for me, so I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Stolpik?
Thank you, Chair. I also appreciate everybody coming out here today, as well as all of the emails.
I lived out in Wellington back in the 80s when it was almost cow pasture. And I do know this area pretty well because I had family that lived up in the area. And I have to say that this is just a really bad plan. This is just not a well thought out plan. With all due respect to staff, staff is only doing what staff was asked to do. So for all those in the back, understand that they take direction, as my colleagues have said, and they come up with the best idea. Sometimes they don't, you try to make the best out of a bad situation. This is just one of those cases where, in my opinion, it's just a bad plan, and I don't see any reason to even move it forward. But we have to go through the process as it is. This is just an unfortunate situation where, once again, the cart is before the horse. These communities have gone in, the roads are not there to support them. We've seen this in many, many areas around the county. It's unfortunate, but it happens, and it still happens, which is even worse. In addition to the poor roadway situations, we have traffic issues all over the county. We've got lack of fire safety. We've got ingress and egress to schools and shopping. It's an ongoing nightmare. But I hope this one stops here. I get a sense that this commission, the Planning Commission, is not pushing this one forward. Hopefully, the Board of County Commissioners will not push it forward as well, and we can move on to better ideas and better plans. Thank you.
Commissioner Van?
Three good questions again. I appreciate everyone coming out also and the emails. Question to staff, in looking at this analysis, say you start reviewing this, if it passes by the county commissioner, and they say, okay, the options really are not there to do that part of it, just not going to work. At that point, will you go back and do other analysis to see what will be the best or another route to alleviate the traffic congestion out there? Or is just this will stop and all the reports will stop and we won't go forward to somebody else on the county commission says, let's look at this route, let's look at this route. Is there a study or something, for lack of a better word, to say, okay, we do the analysis. 40th Street really doesn't work based on several factors. Do we say, okay, we're going to stop at that, it dies. Is there another option that you guys would do in engineering to go out and say, okay, we still need to look at another option. We got to get the traffic. The developments are there. The commission has approved them. We need to move on past that. They did approve them. It is what it is. But my question is, if this dies, is there another option you guys would do to go and look at to alleviate the traffic out west?
Commissioner Van, if I may. So I think if the item is initiated and we are able to perform that research and further analysis, if that results in information that the board decides to not proceed with, then they could also provide staff with guidance to seek alternate findings or proceed in a different direction if they so choose to do so. So it's kind of discretionary at this point.
And that's from the county commission?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. I understand that. Trust me, I'm in government. I understand government. Trust me. But my issue is sometimes I'm asking engineers in the traffic, if you're going to get direction, if you don't get that, is it something that it's an issue out here? Is something that you will look at? I know we have to get initiated to try to alleviate some of the traffic out there. With all the developments that were approved out west, I know with some traffic study analysis done to see how to get the people from that area to go east. I'm just asking the question is, if it dies, it just dies, and then we're still stuck with the same issue of traffic, getting people from out west to go east. That's just my question.
As Jeff said, at this point, we would be looking at the proposal in front of us of adding 40th Street and removing Persimmon. And as part of the transmittal, we will be providing our the data that would show the need and whether that would help and how it would alleviate the traffic needs in the area. And we will make recommendations based on the proposed initiation. Now, if we were to be asked by the board to look at other options and alternatives that would improve and solve the problems, certainly we will. And if you ask me generally, what do you want as a traffic engineer? I want, 10 east-west roads, and I want 10 north-south roads to alleviate traffic in that entire area. But as you can see, most people, for whatever reason, may not support almost any of those proposals because everybody would have, as they say, it's not in my backyard. So again, we act based on the directions from the board on what to explore and what to look at, and then we'll prepare our analysis and show the data that would support or not support any of those alternatives.
Okay. Commissioner Stenberg?
I want to thank the citizens for being courageous and for standing up for your neighborhood and for speaking to the staff and to the commission. It's really very valuable input to hear from the people who live with the repercussions of decisions that are made by government bodies. So thank you for doing that. Thank you also to the staff for your diligence and for answering questions. The great thing about sitting at this end of the dais is that most of the questions are already answered by the time it gets to us down here. So thank you. Thank you also to the commission for your questions. And of course, Commissioner Bross, you always kick it off the right way, which is why you're the first chair. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Larson, please.
Good morning. And I do want to echo the fact that it was great to see all of you. And even if you didn't speak, your silence, not your voice, was heard by your presence here. And I often say democracy is you and participation. It's also us. And the predominant amount of people in this room right now, you may not realize we don't get paid. This is all volunteer. Just like you. You're not getting paid right now either. Okay? So I live in the western communities, and I travel all of those roads because I service the farming community that is still very active at the end of several of those roads. And in attempting to get not just back further west, but also getting samples and to other operations further east, I have experienced travel nightmares. But I also understand when you buy property and when you make investments for legacy. I am not in support of this simply because we seem to have things in the TIM, and there's just a lot of unanswered questions. But I do want to mention something from Robert Frost that I feel is important. I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. That is from the road not taken. And I think we need to look at that for growth, but also for preservation of community and the culture and the spirit that you have in Royal Palm and in the acreage.
Good, Commissioner Sar.
Thank you. I echo most of our commissioner sentiments. You know, being here and doing, you know, not necessarily your civic duty, but doing a duty to your residents. We live in the communities. We're all here because we live in the communities, we understand the communities, and we appreciate you, not only you, but being respectful and being civil. And that goes a long way. So thank you. I also thank you to staff, because remember, staff is tasked with this initiation, this specific initiation. They're not tasked to find the best alternative. They're not tasked, they're tasked whether or not this initiation should be recommended or not. So I appreciate the diligence that you guys have done. I'm the president of the Broward, Palm Beach, and St. Lucie Realtors. We represent 43,000 or nearly 43,000 realtors. I live in your communities, I work in your communities, and I hear a lot of the residents. I don't know that I've ever received as many emails from my fellow, whatever you want to call constituents, residents, or whatnot, as I had on this particular project. I am opposed to this, and we appreciate all of you being here. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
All right. So I truly appreciate everybody coming out here. It is really a pleasure to see everybody out here, irrespective of opinion and the civil manner in which everybody took direction from us. I know I interjected a couple of times, and I hope I didn't hurt any feelings or anything, but that's the unfortunate job that the rest of the board's given me, so that I look like the bad guy. That being said, I did have some questions for the staff. We've talked about that there is a general overall problem. It's not necessarily the problem that's going into their backyards, but there is a general overall problem. And then, like we talked about, that the Board of County Commissioners has to initiate some sort of methodology for you guys to look at that. Is there any way that we can recommend to expand your area to, irrespective of a denial or whatever that the board votes on, to look at a wholesome area as part of any traffic study or anything that you're planning to do? I'm not sure if that's within our powers or not. So I'm asking the question, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, Chair, I think if the board feels strongly about making that addition to a recommendation, we can definitely provide that to the BCC, and of course they would take that into advisement.
So as part of a motion for denial, can we add that as part of that?
I see no reason why the board could not. They absolutely could do that, yes.
And that could be with probably asking to explore a traffic study or just a general traffic plan for the whole region or whatever, like as opposed to specifically their backyards.
I guess my general recommendation would be to be as specific as possible, so it's known on the record what the intent of the board was. But really, any motion or recommendation that the board passes will provide that to the BCC for consideration.
Okay, fair enough. And then I know there was a question raised on the status of the projects. I know she answered some of those questions, but that specific status, do we have an update or no? And I believe that was for the 60th.
I don't remember the question on the status. Can you remind me, please?
Does anybody on the board remember what that specific question was?
Where they were at with 60th.
It was 60th, right?
Yeah.
There was a question about whether the 60th Street was on the TIM already, and I confirmed that it is.
No, but there was talks about that the roadway improvement had already been planned, and then the status of what that was. I think that was the question.
That's correct. A portion of that between 140th East to 120th is under design currently. The piece that's 120th, generally out to State Road 7, will be under design next.
Okay, and then when you guys implement future traffic studies, you do also look at how any plans that are already in place will alleviate any possible aspects, correct, on the traffic study? Yeah.
Yeah, that should be correct, yes.
Okay. I think that's pretty much, most of the questions have been answered. I do want to also thank all the elected officials and or representations from different communities in whichever aspects that they've come in to spend the time and come there. I know they spend a lot of time at their own stuff between their nominations or jobs, so I do want to thank them also for coming. I guess before we go to vote, the only thing I wanted to kind of say, if anybody, when they're preparing a motion, thinks about maybe putting a recommendation for a traffic study for a general area, and I don't know how we're going to narrow that down, but I'll let my fellow board members kind of look at that. Commissioner Spotek, you wanted to say something?
Well, yeah, if you want like to make a motion, I'd be happy to make the motion. But I think what you're getting at is that before any of these are initiated in the future, without the benefit of a comprehensive traffic study, that put the horse in front of the cart. Let's get the traffic studies first before you come through with these plans, so that we have the benefit of that data, the benefit of that information when we're sitting up here and trying to make a decision.
If I might, Chair.
Sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Roth.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I agree, but the concern about traffic very much for your area, the people who are here today, and I have visited out there, and it's wonderful and special. There are many areas in Palm Beach County, however, equally concerned about traffic with impending huge density expected. So the question is, how broad are we going to make that recommendation in conjunction with this very specific, which I expect will be a motion for denial? Whoever makes the motion for denial, a more general statement of concern is one that many of us have addressed at the BCC, and basically we have been told that we can't speak about though we can speak about those impacts, but they can no longer be taken into consideration in terms of the infrastructure, the roads, the intensity. So I would hate to confuse a clear-cut recommendation of denial on this with any broader discussion. So maybe we need, if we are allowed to bring up a separate motion. That's my only concern. I think this just needs to be very clear.
Okay. I'm going to let Commissioner Bross see his hand, but I think what I was trying to suggest is that because we don't have the ability to typically make any motions on besides whatever's in front of us, this was the only way for us to bring up some of the concerns that everybody's raised about the general traffic, not necessarily in their backyards, but the general traffic. They talked about State Road 7. They talked about Okeechobee Boulevard. They talked about, Coconut. I mean, there was a couple of different roads that were brought up, and I think it has to be looked up as a whole for the area as opposed to just specifically 40th and, 140th. That's, I think, what I was trying to get at with my sort of decision, but I'll let Commissioner Bross speak, and I apologize.
Correct me if I'm wrong, staff, but you guys, engineering is doing traffic studies all the time. They don't just pick this out of the air. I mean, while the commissioner for the area did want to initiate this, I mean, engineering's busting their fannies putting together data as far as traffic and how to get these residents from point A to point B. And I just don't know if it's really relevant for us to make a motion to say staff needs to make another, analysis or test or study when that's what their job is. I would just like to put them forward a motion to deny it and leave the studies and when studies and what studies should be done to staff, because they're the experts.
I'll second your motion.
And
Hold on.
all the questions I want to.
I had still questions.
I have a question, yeah.
I apologize. Sorry. Before we get into the motions, let's finish the questions. Commissioner Van, go ahead.
And I do understand what everybody's saying about a traffic study. I agree. They do traffic studies all the time. You put little things in the road, you run over them. That's not necessarily my issue. That's why I asked my question. My question was, is staff really going to do that? And I'm not trying to bash staff. They work for the county commission. And my whole thing, we sit this, we deny it. It gets denied for initiation, and it just sits there. Well, we got a traffic concern out there. It's going to be a traffic issue. They approved all these projects out there, the county commission did, and we denied some, we approved some. That was my only thing, and I'm not a traffic study. That was my thing. My thing was, if they deny when they go to the county commission, say they don't want to initiate this, fine. They don't have to initiate it. But then we still stuck in where we were, where we're going to be with the traffic out there. And that's why I asked the question of staff. Would they take it up and actually, okay, that's denied. Let's look at other alternatives, whether it be Coconut, whether it's Okeechobee. And I agree, I don't want to confuse the issue here, but that was my only concern is, would staff do it or they have to be directed by the county commission? We're here right now because of the county commission. And that's my whole thing, but I agree. Maybe we just take the question as is and deny and just move on. But at some point, somebody's going to have to figure out what they're going to do out in this area for traffic. So maybe we just take the point and just do it as is, recommend denial, initiate it, and move on. But at some point, somebody's going to have to figure out what you're going to do with the traffic. It's going to impact somebody's neighborhood. I'm sorry. It's going to impact somebody's neighborhood We didn't approve the projects out there. The county commission did. So at some point, you're going to have to look at it. So I just called the question. We just vote. I just said just vote, no condition.
Commissioner Searle, you raised your hand?
Yeah, and I agree. Are we permitted to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to look, to implore staff to look at alternate options in that area?
So I think it would be best if we just stuck with the simple denial, and then you can express a desire to the board could direct staff to look further into it at alternatives or something like that. But the motion should simply be approve or deny.
And when this does go to the board, we do a little summary of the discussion at the Planning Commission, so we can make sure that we include these concerns about looking at an overview traffic situation in this area. So that will be captured in that respect.
So I would move to deny the initiation.
Well, hold on. We still have some more questions.
Use the motion.
Well, we can make the motion, we could second it, and then you can discuss the motion before voting upon it.
Well, I was giving the commissioners all the latitude, so I wanted to continue with the same way until the motion was put in.
Well,
Otherwise, we would have had the motion on the first one.
Right, but the motion has actually been made twice, and I think
Okay,
it's
fine.
appropriate to
All
have
right,
a
so
motion
fine.
a second.
So let's go back to then the original motion that was made, which was by Commissioner Barr. Sorry, I'm right now losing it. Sorry. So she made a motion, and I believe Commissioner Roth had seconded it. No? Okay.
I did.
Oh, sorry.
I did.
Vice Chair had seconded it. So we have a motion and we have a second for the motion to deny as is, as was the motion, as submitted, correct. So now I know Vice Chair had a comment that you wanted to make.
Correct. Just a comment, and thank you for making the motion. And the reason I was so quick to second it, because it is obvious when you see things like this that are all opposed and not one on there. And being a resident here of 50 years and watching Palm Beach County grow, and we appreciate everything the staff has done. I was asking a lot of questions about the finance side of it. As a taxpayer here, I'm always concerned about where our money goes, and that's why I was asking that. And I knew the other questions were going to be answered for me, but I think that this is just a total bad idea. And it was the reason it was seconded so quickly. And I hope that the commission hears us and looks for other ways to handle the traffic out there. Thank you.
So a call of the question would require a 2/3 vote from the...
Point of order. Point of order.
Hold on. Okay. I think everybody's done with questions. Once again, I want to thank everybody for the patience. We're going to call the roll right now. And just to inform you, these discussions, the county commissions will see. They will have access to the video recordings. They will be able to understand what we've put out for it. So whether it actually goes as a motion or not, our concerns are now voiced, and hopefully they will look at that. So Precious, go ahead and get the call, please.
The vote is for a motion to deny. John Carr.
Yes.
Barbara Roth.
Yes.
Penny Pompey.
Yes.
Dagmar Bras.
Yes.
Kylie Harper Larson.
Yes.
Angela Van.
Yes.
Ankar Patel.
Yes.
Rick Stopik.
Yes.
David Searle.
Yes.
Brian Stenberg.
Yes.
Barissa Laudas.
Yes.
Motion passes 11-0.
All right. We thank you guys for coming here, spending the time, but we got to keep moving on. So, and I want to specifically thank Vice Chair for handling all of these as efficiently as he could. So,
Well done. Very well done.
all right. Next item on the agenda is Port of Palm Beach text initiation. Staff, if you want to go ahead and present for that one.
Maybe we could give a minute or two for the them to clear
Sure.
out, or?
All right, let's give it a minute before we get all the crowd out.
I actually do have to recuse myself from this one.
All right, County Attorney?
Well, yeah, when the item starts, you can make your announcement.
If we could have everybody go outside and talk, please, that would really help. That was a lot to manage through, so, and we had stuff still coming in. You're organized, and that was fine. The rest of that probably would have been.
Okay, we ready? Sure. All right, this should be.
We lost 2 commissioners, though, I believe. So
We still have a quorum.
We still have quorum, so we're good.
We're good, yeah.
we still have quorum, so we can keep starting? Okay. All right, so we're going now to the next item on the agenda, which was Port of Palm Beach text initiation. I believe Commissioner Das had something to state.
Yes, due to my position on the Port of Palm Beach, I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, does she have to leave the room, or she can?
No, she just can't participate in any of the conversation or discussion or advocate in any way. So she can remain on the dais for this.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so now we can have staff start presentations.
All right, great. Good afternoon. David Willock with the Planning Division. Item for the board is a county-initiated text amendment known as the Port of Palm Beach Master Plan Text Initiation. As mentioned earlier, this is a county-initiated text amendment, but board approval still is needed for initiation for the item to proceed forward with the full staff report. The proposed amendment would revise the transportation and coastal management elements to incorporate by reference the Port of Palm Beach Master Plan, which was adopted by the Port of Palm Beach Commission and is dated September 8, 2023. As with the previous updates, 3 portions of the master plan will be incorporated into the comprehensive plan. Appendix A, which contains the goals, objectives, and policies. Figure 55, the initial master plan map, which is the improvements 0 to 5 years. And Figure 57, the key master plan improvement projects, which is the capital improvement plan. Port master plan is required by statute to be incorporated in the county comprehensive plan. The master plan is reviewed by several county departments for consistency with the comp plan, and comments are also provided during the update. Notice of this initiation was also sent to the City of Riviera Beach and the City of West Palm Beach. As such, the Planning Division recommends initiation of the proposed amendment, and we're available if you have questions. A little less contentious than the last one.
I was expecting that to keep changing again. Sorry. All right. I guess any questions? I'll just look across the board, see if anybody has any question. Doesn't look like we have any questions. Let's go ahead and have a motion.
I motion to initiate.
Okay, so Commissioner Bras initiated the motion, and I believe Commissioner Sopek. I'm right now being dyslexic. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I messed up her name earlier. So I apologize. We've got a motion. We got a second. I guess all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anybody against? No? All right. Sorry. So I think we are now done with the thing. We have a workshop. That is the next item on the agenda. Does the board want to hear it right now, or would the board like to postpone it to the next? I don't know, how long is the workshop supposed to be?
So it's a pretty extensive review, so it may be better on a lighter agenda day so that you all can, have a little breather and be able to provide comments and so. And then we may have potentially some new board members in the next month or two, so it would be great information for them as well.
Okay. So as of right now, then we're doing a postpone. Do we need to do a motion for that, or?
No, it's just a workshop item, so I'll just place it on a good agenda.
Okay, perfect. So now, comments by any of the commission members, and I see a bunch of hands. Should I go in the order, or should I skip it? All right, Commissioner Roth, go ahead first.
Thank you. I find myself in a very interesting situation. I could be the senior commissioner at this point. When I came onto the commission 6 years ago, at that time, there were two people just about to exit who had been on for 15 years. And I would be remiss, we would be remiss in not noting that we do not have Lori Vinegar with us for the first time in just about 15 years. I think June, her 15-year mark would have hit. And she has served several times as chair of Planning Commission, as vice chair. And I have to say, in the 6 years, I have not been able to speak with her ahead of these meetings on issues, but this time I sure did. And it was a pleasure. So I just want it publicly noted that Dr. Lori Vinegar served this commission for years. She's moving to the Zoning Commission. She had also served on LDRAB. So now she's on zoning. And thank you.
Of course. Anybody else before I pass the dais on to Commissioner Bras?
No, that was exactly what I was going to say. Appreciation to Lori for serving as long as she's been on the planning commission. She's always informed. Some of us don't read all of our backup material, but Lori Vinegar reads every word. So I just wanted to say thank you to Lori for all of her service on the planning commission.
All right, perfect. I was informed by staff that we do have a new member, Glenn Groman. He's not here today. He was expected to come, but he didn't come. So when he comes, we'll officially introduce him, but that's who we have so far.
Yeah, just for a little background, he was previously on the Planning Commission, moved over to the Zoning Commission, and now he's back with us.
Perfect. I still have to announce it one way or the other. All right, next, anything from the executive director?
No comments. Thank you.
Anything from the county attorney?
Nothing.
All right, how about the planning director?
Just that our
Besides
next
the mic issues.
Yeah, continued mic issues. We'll have to work on that in the off season, right? Just that our next meeting is anticipated on April 12th for planning commission.
And the agenda will be pretty lengthy, so yeah. Just as a heads up.
Do we
my
ever
son's
have the
birthday.
option of, like, I don't know, sometimes at meetings they might have some water or...
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be appropriate for us to provide something for you all next time, for sure. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We can make that work.
Thank you so much.
Sleeping bag?
Oh, there is water in
All right, so then I think we are done. I will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good job.
glory, you've seen it fly high in many places, representing justice, freedom, and dignity. But according to U.S. Flag Code, when it's unserviceable, it should be retired with respect and honor. The Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County has made it easy for residents to retire old American flags. All you have to do is drop them off at one of 7 Solid Waste Authority home chemical and recycling centers in Palm Beach County. Look for the special drop box to place your flag, and we'll take care of the rest.
Thursdays, every Thursday of the month, we offer those services, and you can reach out through our website and find out the information to make the appointments.
Perfect. Thank you. Jan, tell us a little bit more about overall services being provided by your staff.
So our staff here do everything from field work to helping find homes for animals here in the shelter, fostering. A lot of people don't know we do things like, for instance, if someone goes into the hospital unexpectedly and their family's not here, we're often called to bring those animals here and hold them and help find next of kin, help find those placements. And with all of the animals that we have coming in, we're really looking to try and push a lot of our adoptions. So people coming in and adopting. But more than adoptions, we also can do fostering. And it fits into anybody's lifestyle.
Excellent, and a lot of collaboration going on with
Definitely.
Many different partners.
Yes, in fact, we could not do what we're doing right now with as crowded as we are if we didn't have the collaboration from not only our staff, our amazing volunteers, but the community. We have over 260 different rescue partners that we work with, not only here in our county, but within the state and even as far north as Vermont, New Hampshire. These are all amazing partners that we're using to try and help find placements for dogs and cats. In fact, we send some up to Brevard County almost every 2 weeks or so.
Can you tell us about the Lost and Found website, SNAP, and how that might work?
Sure. SNAP stands for Surf the Net About a Pet. And that's our kind of easy to access website where if you've lost a pet, if you found a pet, if you want to adopt a pet, if you want to help rescue a pet, everything is there. So all you need to do is you can go to our main website, which is discover.pbcgov.org/public-safety/animal care, and that'll get you to our main website. And you can just click on SNAP, and it'll take you there, and you can see pictures of every animal in our shelter. If you, for instance, have lost your pet, look on the found page. Everybody from local community members or animals that are brought in here, we immediately put the photo on there and a detail about the animal. You can click and say, that's my dog, that's my cat. Come on in, pick them up, or contact the foster directly, and chances are they're just down the street from you.
Amazing. What happens in the event of a disaster, like a hurricane? Is this area a pet-friendly shelter?
This area itself is not the pet-friendly shelter. We're considered an essential service for our county. So we do run a pet-friendly shelter at the West Boynton Rec Center. And it's right adjacent to a human shelter, so you can come in, bring your pets there, go right across the street for your sheltering. And at the pet-friendly shelter, we take dogs, cats, birds, and pocket pets. They're cared for by our officers, and they get great care. It is a limited space though, so what we ask people to do, if at all possible, is to pre-register. So again, on our website, you can go to where it says pet-friendly shelter and pre-register for hurricanes. We also have some really cool little connections there that you can go and how do you prep for a hurricane for your pets? What do you need to have on hand? If you're going to come to a pet-friendly shelter, what should you bring with you? So all that information is right there on our website.
And super helpful. Catania, can you tell us a little bit about field services and what does that involve?
Sure. Our field services, we are actually made up of multiple areas that we have. So we have our field officers that are here 7 days a week, and we are here overnight for emergencies. Our field officers go out and they follow up on complaints that we may have received that come through the phone. They also come through our website that we also have. They're going to be following up on loose dog complaints. They're going to be following up on maybe a manner of keeping where somebody has their dog outside. And we're going to work with the public and the citizens of Palm Beach County to work through those issues so that their animals are being cared for. Then we also have our special investigations unit. We have a licensing and enforcement unit. And then we have our dispatchers as well. So we all work together to bring the county all the complaints and take care of those.
Does AC&C help in the rescue of abused animals or livestock?
Yes, we work with them as far as if a complaint comes in or we're notified. A field officer is going to go out potentially first. And then we also have our special investigations unit, and they work with the sheriff's office or the local police department so that we can bring justice to an animal if needed.
Thank you. And Jan, can you tell us where people can actually obtain these services?
So we have multiple places within our county that you can get good services. Here at our 7100 Belvedere Road is our main shelter, and